Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mr. Sanchez with another lesson coming at you with a lesson for geometry, lesson 20-1, the Pythagorean theorem. This is an important theorem that you need to know. It's a very fundamental type thing in math. Our learning target for today is to apply the Pythagorean theorem to solve problems. What is the Pythagorean theorem? The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Sorry for my messy handwriting. I don't know what's going on with my writing when I wrote this, but a and b are the legs of a triangle. So the legs of this triangle, that's what a and b are, and c is the hypotenuse. So c is the long side of the triangle, of the hypotenuse. And the Pythagorean theorem only works for right angles. There's a extended right triangles. There is an extended version of the Pythagorean theorem where you can find it's an adjusted version where you can use it for any triangle. But for the purpose of our class, we're just gonna focus on right triangles, okay? And honestly, all I need you guys to write, what you guys really need to write down in your notes today is this: a squared plus b squared equals c squared, okay? And maybe look at the diagram of this. Look at this diagram, because that's all we need for this lesson, okay? And then the rest of this lesson is going to be mostly just using this theorem to solve for missing side lengths. And you're gonna see how this is gonna go into our next couple of units, where we go into special triangles, 45, 45, 90, 30, 60, 90. And eventually you'll see how it goes over to our trigonometric ratios at the very end. Without further ado, we're just going to power through this lesson. I don't want to make this lesson too long. I know you guys have attention issues. We're going to go over 3 examples. And at the end of the 3 examples, we're going to have more in class, plus an IXL assignment. I know how much you guys love those. It's going to be 2 number problems and then 1 word problem. But you're going to see the word problems aren't that hard. Okay. So let's start with problem 1. Example 1, it just says you have a right triangle and it says find B. Okay, it's not written down, but we have find B. All right, so this is B. And then since this is the long side opposite of the triangle, this is C and this is A. Remember, the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, okay? To get b by itself, you gotta do minus a squared, and then this is gonna go away, and you're gonna get b squared is equal to c squared minus a squared, and that's going to be, and if you take the square root of both sides, you're gonna get b squared is equal to c squared minus a squared. Okay, and now all you gotta do is, well, actually, my bad. When you take the square root, the square cancels. Now all we have to do is plug in our values, okay? And it's that simple. So it's not gonna be too hard. So the first thing we're gonna have is 38 squared, right? Because that's C, minus a squared, which is 27 squared. And then you just need to plug that into the calculator, okay? So 38 squared is gonna be 1444. Oops. 1444 minus 27 squared, which is 729, right? And so we have 1444 minus 729. That's going to give us square root of 715. Now, I don't know if this is the perfect square, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my calculator and try and and I'm just gonna plug it into the square root function and see if it gives me a perfect number. So it gives me an estimate. So we're actually just going to leave this answer just like that, because I'm not going to bother simplifying today. In class, we'll do problems where we can simplify, but for right now, we know that the answer to this problem is the square root of 715, which is approximately 26.74. Okay, and that kind of makes sense because our number has, since it's a leg, and the hypotenuse is the longest side, B has to be smaller than C, but around the same size of A. Okay, and that's our answer. Okay, that's what we do when we find B. All right. And now we're just gonna go over to example 2, right? If I went too fast, take a moment, rewind the video, and try and understand what's going on slowly, step by step. Okay, so in this problem, we have a rectangle, as you can see, and we're trying to find the diagonal of this hypotenuse, right? So once again, this is right here, x is the hypotenuse. We could call A 14, we can call B 35, and this is, since x is on the diagonal is usually a hypotenuse in rectangles, okay? So when we're trying to solve this problem, we're gonna end up with A squared plus B squared equals C squared, okay? Since we're looking for since we're looking for C, to get C by itself, all you gotta do is take the square root of both sides, and you're going to get that C is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared, okay? And it's not that hard, it's pretty straightforward, okay? What's our A? Our A is 14, so we're gonna have 14 to the power of 2 plus 35 to the power of 2, because 35 is B. And let's see what happens when we plug in those numbers. 14 times 14, that's 196 plus 35 squared, which is 1225. We add that plus 196. This is going to give us 1421. Okay, we have 1421 as our answer, right? Which is a big number. Let's see what happens if we take the square root of this number and see what we get. So this means that C is approximately going to be to 37.70. You're gonna notice that on the calculator it says 37.696. If we're rounding to this decimal place, we have to look at this one, and that'll make this 10. So carry the 1, and you'll see that this is gonna be our answer. We're going to be doing a lot of rounding in this section, so don't be afraid of that. Okay, and that's how you do problem number 2. All right. And it's just a matter of using the Pythagorean theorem. You always start with A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and then you want to get whichever variable you're looking for. That's the one I was looking for. And so we have the last example for today, right? And it's example 3. It says find the area of a rectangular rug if the width of the rug is 13 feet and the diagonal is 20 feet. Okay, so basically it's saying, so it says we have a rectangular rug. So first draw a picture. Okay, so we have a rug, it's rectangular. Okay, it says the width is 13. I believe width is this part. I always confuse width times length and length, but usually it's not a big deal. Just use one or the other. So we're gonna have 13 feet here, and it says the diagonal measures 20. The diagonal is talking about this one right here, and that equals to 20 feet. And it says find the area. Okay, so in order to find the area of a rectangle is length times width. So in order to find we have the width, right? We have width. Now we need to find the length, right? So that's our unknown. And so remember, we can call this A, we can call this B, and this is C. So we have A squared plus B squared equals to C squared. We're looking for A, so we're gonna do minus B squared minus B squared, and you're gonna get A squared is equal to C squared minus B squared. You're gonna want to take the square root of both sides, and that's gonna give you A is equal to the square root of C squared minus B squared, right? And remember, B is 13 and C is 20. So we're just gonna plug those numbers in to our equation. C squared is gonna be 20 squared minus 13 squared, right? And so that's going to give us 20 squared is 400 minus, and I think that's 169. Let me double check. No, your teacher is not perfect. 13 times 13, yeah, 169. Okay. minus 400. So this is going to give us the square root of 231. And now 231 is not a perfect square. I can tell you that much. If I take the square root, that's going to give us that A is approximately 15.198, which means it's going to be approximately 15.20. So we're going to use 15.20 for A, right? So to find the area of this rectangle, it's going to be this number times this number. So it's 15.20 times 13. So it's going to be 15.22 times 13, right? That's what our area is going to be. So it means that our area is going to be approximately 197.6 feet squared. Okay, and that's basically how you do these problems. We're going to be using the Pythagorean theorem to find area, to find the missing lengths. That's what we're going to be doing throughout this chapter. And hopefully this video kind of gives you an idea how to use the square root. How to use the Pythagorean theorem. And we'll have more examples in class. All right. Yeah, but it's been a while since I filmed the video. I'll see you guys in class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.